So I talk about things, like I have a chapter in a book that I'm writing, which is my first book, but I call it like my Mandela moment, right? Your Mandela moment, Nelson Mandela moment. So remember, Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. To create the King of Kings, you wouldn't think, put a man in prison for 27 years, basically a convicted felon, and he'll come out and be the King of Kings. All the world leaders will, want to pick this guy's brain and have him over. You just wouldn't think that that's the way you produce that. But the fact is, adversity is the best teacher, and pain and suffering. I mean, it really is a great teacher for the small percentage that can make it through, keep their sanity, and come out the other side. It breaks a lot of people, but then you do produce a Mandela. So I didn't realize that for a lot of my life, but I thought, now I look and I'm like, if I had known that I would be so injured emotionally, physically, as a martial artist, and in life, if I had known that, I would have been an orthopedic surgeon. I mean, I didn't have so much knowledge of the human body. I had, at age 19, a bypass surgery. I have a scar that runs from here to here, a very thick scar. I almost lost my right leg. I have a fraction of a normal person's pulse in that leg. So everything I've done athletically in jiu-jitsu, competing against world champions, competing at the world championships, competing at the Pan American Games, and et cetera, everything I've done has been on basically 1.5 legs. I have a fraction of a normal person's pulse. I have a titanium plate in my neck here at C6, C7, a neck that was just on fire when I would work as a journalist, and you have to sit at your desk for hours and hours, and my neck was just on fire. So I had shoulders coming out of the socket, nose is broken, cuts here, fractured cheekbones, elbows at the here. I can go on and on. An ankle that's to here, blood clot past here. I mean, so when you go through all that, it's mental anguish. It's fear, it's a lot of things. You dance with pain, you dance with fear constantly, like you and I were talking about. But the one thing I learned, especially when I had my titanium plate in my neck, I thought, first of all, my neck's on fire. I'm not a guy who likes prescription drugs. I'm not a fan of any of that. I'm not a guy who's gonna run to drink booze to decrease a bad day, to cope with a bad day. So I thought, man, I'm like 32 years old, my neck is on fire, I really can't even work for more than an hour at a time. How am I gonna what's it gonna look like at 50, 55, 60? Am I gonna even like that life? And so what I decided was that, I was like, you know what, every day I wake up and I'm just afraid of how my neck's gonna be on fire. And I thought, I'm just gonna stop paying attention to it. I'm just not gonna put my awareness on it. Yes, that pain is real, but some of it is psychosomatic, where you just expect pain, and so it won't disappoint you, it will show up. So you have to in some ways just be like, look, just not paying attention to you. And it's like somebody, if you take somebody who's really obese and you put them on a treadmill, they're not thinking, they can run further a lot of times than they think they can, but they're just thinking with each step how miserable it is. Right? That's why people wear headphones, so they can not be paying attention to how miserable something is. They're paying attention to the beat in their ear. But it's the awareness of, oh, this sucks, this is horrible. And if you took someone, I tell people, if you had to run 5 miles to save someone you loved, even if you weren't a really fit person, that run would not be nearly as painful. Because when you're running, you're thinking about getting there and helping them or saving them or whatever. You'll make it there. You'll run that 5 miles. Most people will, even people who are out of shape and who don't think that I'm not really up to running 5 miles. I don't really think I can run 5 miles. It's just the perception of pain. Versus if you just tell them, we're running 5 miles today. There's no great motivation. They're just gonna think with each step how miserable that is. And all that is awareness. It's where you choose to put your focus. And I learned that's what a lot of pain is. That's what a lot of, Bruce Lee used to say, you're as tired as you think you are. If you're in the middle of a fight, and I learned this as a martial artist, because you're miserable time. You got 200-pound guys laying on you, feel like concrete, you can barely breathe. But if you're focusing on that, how tired you are, brother, you're halfway to broken. You're 3/4 to broken. You got to be thinking, I'm getting out of here. That's where your focus has to be. That's where your awareness has to be. And guess what? You'll get out of a lot of bad spots with that mentality. You'll do things like your book, The Art of Impossible. You'll do things you didn't think you could do because you put your awareness there instead. And you'll feel a hell of a lot less pain over the long term. If you have something that's chronic or ongoing, you're gonna feel a hell of a lot less pain if you don't wake up and you're not so aware of it and so afraid of it. over time you diminish it, and you'll be able to cope a lot better with pain. That's what I found.